What's going on? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Gen X Army Vet here with a video coming from TikTok. And I have here a user that goes by the name of Mighty War. So yeah, it's female. She's about to talk about how I guess white liberals or progressives are hurting the black population or the black community as far as their cause. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
Okay, so I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said. And please know that I am coming from a place of love because I know that your efforts come from a good place. But white liberals, you are not saving the black community. You are holding us back. It's not allyship, it's enabling. You excuse destructive choices, you lower the bar, you hand out sympathy instead of standards, and you call that progress. Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. We're not the only group with a painful past. Jewish people survived genocide and rebuilt. Asian immigrants came here with nothing and built thriving businesses and schools. We don't hand them safe spaces. We don't rewrite laws to excuse their failures. We don't glorify victimhood for anyone else. So why is that standard different for us? We built an entire system around the lie that black people can't compete, and we call it justice. DEI, affirmative action, safe spaces, watered down schools, and even lighter sentences for crime. That's not empowerment. That's soft bigotry dressed up as compassion. And it's all causing more harm than good to the black community.
Well, I guess she's speaking of the facts so far, because, me being a black person of that community, I don't believe in handouts. I don't believe, someone needs to fight my battles for me. I know my abilities. I know what I can and can't do. And if what she's saying as far as liberals helping out, trying to fight for us, lowering the bar, as we're supposedly victims of certain situations. I don't see myself as a victim, ever been a victim. I hold myself accountable for everything that I do. So I know a lot of people out there within the black community, the self-made victims. Everything is, out of their control. Everything else is everybody else's fault. It's not my fault. We need to get yourself, by the bootstraps and put your head down and get to work. And from what she's saying is that these liberals are coddling them. So yeah, pretty much goes what Charlie Kirk was saying. Get out there and do something. Don't sit there and just pretend like you're a victim, because you're not a victim of anything, unless it's something that you literally did to get yourself into trouble.
It whispers you're too weak, too damaged, too broken to do this on your own. And we've accepted that lie for far too long. We don't need your pity. We don't need you to lower the bar. We need to be held to the same standard as everyone else. Because true empowerment doesn't come from being coddled. It comes from being called higher. Charlie Kirk said this over and over again. He asked Black America to stop fixating so much on our race and our difficult history. He encouraged everyone from every background and walk of life to make their past a reference, not their residence. And sadly, his honesty caused him to be labeled a racist, despite the fact that he was simply telling us the hard truth.
Yeah, because I remember a lot of the videos I've seen of him. He goes to the colleges, and I was some black kid that pop up and they say, racism this, racism that. And he said, well, I look around me, I see all these white kids, and you're a black kid in this school. So if it was racist, you wouldn't be here. He said, yeah, well, I had to work hard to do this. Okay, some people do. You think everybody comes from a rich background? Everybody has money. There's a one white kid that grew up in, typical hood like you do. He had to get good grades, had to get into school on his own merit. He's not a legacy baby. He didn't get in because his mom or grandmother got into college. Same thing, as he's talking to his black kid. He talking about how he grew up in the hood. He grew up in all this certain situation, but you're here now. You have to pay more. You have to have a job to be able to be here, but you're here. You can work your way through it. And a lot of people don't want to recognize that. It's always, this happened. I'm in this situation because of slavery. No, there has been slaves for hundreds of years. But people always want to go back. Well, black people always want to go back to that and bring it up. And when we critique about it, like for Charlie's case, they call him racist. In my case, they call me a bootlicker or a coon or Uncle Tom. It's the same stuff that always everybody says.
So here's my challenge for white liberals. Stop lowering the bar for us. Stop designing programs that assume that we can't win without a handicap. If you
DEI.
truly believe in Black excellence, then treat us like the powerful, capable, brilliant people that we are. Stand with us, not over us. Walk beside us, not ahead of us. And Black people, if you're still here, slavery happened, oppression exists, but our history is also full of resilience and brilliance. Research Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington and Madam C.J. Walker. We've been
Thomas
free
Sowell.
for 150 years, but somehow we feel justified in marinating in our victimhood while holding $1,000 iPhone, rocking $200 shoes, and having nothing and no one standing in our way but ourselves. Pick up your mat and walk.
But like I said though, they always go back to the slavery card, this, that, and the other. Like I said with DEI and affirmative action, those are just boosters to get you in. That means like same thing Charlie Kirk would say. It means you couldn't get on your own merit. You need assistance to get you to the same class that this other guy got in on his merit. And so, but people called him racist for that. If you're good as you say you are, get it on your merit. Let your grades, let your knowledge, let your, you know, resilience do the talking. Don't think that, oh, I need a boost to get up so I can do this and get, like you say, get to college. You got like these $1,000 phones, $200 shoes. We worry as a community. We worry about the stuff that doesn't matter. College doesn't care what type of phone you got, what type of shoes you got. Oh, I could pay for this. I got this, but they care about if you're good enough to cut the grade, to do the work, to graduate, get your degree, and go on to do better things. Versus using excuses behind excuses. I'm a victim of this. I'm a victim of that. Blah 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 blah. But I know a lot of people. I've talked to family members about things like this, and they always say, "Well, this, well that." There's an exception to the rule, obviously, but by and large, a lot of black folks they try to victimize themselves or self victims from nothing. And all you gotta do is just get to work. Same thing that Morgan Freeman said. Want to get over racism? Quit talking about it. His career didn't start till around his 50s, and he's a millionaire right now. He didn't blame the things that happened before him, and he grew up during the freaking Jim Crow era. He didn't hold that against anybody. He said, I just had to work harder to get recognized for my actions and for my merits. And now look at him. Everybody talks about Morgan Freeman. The guy he talks, you could sit and listen to him talk all day, whatever he narrates. He's a go-to guy. He didn't let anything hold him back. But here we are, these modern day children or adults, these younger generations, everything is everybody else's fault but their own. But anyway, that's my thoughts. That's my comments on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let's get this conversation started. Let's talk about it. I'm willing to talk, whole open discourse about it. Let's go. Like, share, subscribe to the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And I'll catch you next video. Peace.